In the year 2020, it was only fitting that the NBA was going to have a chaotic offseason. Within a few days, teams were expected to make draft picks and sign free agents as they prepared to embark on the 72-game 2020-2021 NBA season, starting December 22nd. After a fiery playoff series against the LA Clippers, the Mavs came into the offseason with three main goals. 1. Improve the defense by surrounding Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis with 3-and-D wings. 2. Acquire some dogs, tough-minded players that can stand up to irritants like the Clippers' Marcus Morris. And 3. Maintain financial flexibility for the summer of 2021. In the span of 4 days, the Mavs made their shallowest position from the last season their deepest. On draft night, they used their first-round selection, the 18th overall pick, on Josh Green, a 6'6" defensive-minded wing from Arizona. In the second round, they picked Stanford sharpshooting guard Tyrell Terry with the 31st pick. And having selected him, they traded the actual guy on their roster, Seth Curry, to the Philadelphia 76ers for Josh Richardson, a 6'5" 3-and-D wing, and the 36th overall pick, which they used to select Tyler Bay, a high-flying forward from the University of Colorado. During free agency, the Mavs traded DeLon Wright and Justin Jackson to the Detroit Pistons and OKC Thunder, respectively, in a complicated multi-team deal that landed them James Johnson, a 6'9" veteran forward known for his toughness and, you guessed it, his 3-and-D skill set. In the only free agency move the Mavs made outside of retaining their own players, they signed 25-year-old wing Wesley Iwundu to a 2-year minimum contract. While 3-and-D was the theme of the Mavs offseason, they also re-signed Trey Burke to a 3-year, $10 million deal, as well as Willie Cauley-Stein on a 2-year deal worth $8.2 million. There have been rumors that the Mavs plan on re-signing franchise legend JJ Barea, but that would put the team at 16 guaranteed contracts, so somebody will either have to get cut or traded before the season starts. The Mavericks also signed Nate Hinton, who will join Bay as the players on 2-way contracts this season. In Josh Richardson, the Mavericks get a tough but skilled wing with size that offers them positional flexibility on offense and the increased availability to switch on defense. J-Rich should be able to play either of the guard positions, sliding down to small forward if need be. On defense, he will be depended on to guard positions 1 through 3 and prevent mismatches the Mavs have suffered from in the past year. Richardson came into the league as a mid-second round pick with the Miami Heat in 2015. He quickly established himself as a reliable three-point shooter and defender, becoming a mainstay in the Miami Heat's lineups. Richardson comes to the Mavs with a career three-point shooting average of 36%, despite a down year in Philadelphia in 2019-2020. Richardson's best season was in 2018-19 with the Miami Heat, where he averaged career highs in points, assists, and rebounds, around 16.6 points per game, 3.6 rebounds a game, and 4.1 assists per game, while shooting nearly 36% from 3. Richardson won't replace the all-time three-point shooting that Seth Curry provided, but the more well-rounded nature of his game compared to Seth's makes this move a net improvement for the Dallas Mavericks. It's reasonable to expect J-Rich to return to his Miami levels of production in Dallas due to elite spacing and supreme facilitation ability of Luka Doncic. Aside from three-point shooting and defense, Richardson is an underrated offensive creator and should hopefully take some pressure off of Luka in that respect. Best of all, he's 27 years old, so he's the perfect blend of youth and experience, having valuable playoff experience with 2 of the top teams in the Eastern Conference over the last few seasons. As a bonus, he seems to be a fun social media presence, and shout out to him for liking our tweet on Twitter, and appears happy to be in Dallas. We can't emphasize how great of a pickup Josh Richardson was and it's going to be great to see him in a Mavericks jersey. On the surface, the moves for James Johnson looked like a salary dump. However, a deeper look reveals more. One of the most important implications of the deal was that the Mavs managed to ship off DeLon Wright and Justin Jackson, their two worst rotation players from last season. And purely from a financial perspective, Johnson provides a sizable expiring contract of $16 million that can be used to match salary if a star is available to be had by trade in the middle of the season. Given that he comes off the books next offseason, it frees up a big chunk of salary for the Mavs to spend on a strong free agent class. Johnson is a journeyman in the truest sense. The Mavs are his 7th team in 11 seasons. Nicknamed Bloodsport, he is a black belt in karate who is also undefeated in his MMA career on the side. It comes as no surprise that he has served as an enforcer throughout the rest of his career. Go search up James Johnson fight on YouTube and see for yourself. Nobody wants to mess with a guy called Bloodsport, beyond the fact that he's the prototypical dog the Mavs have sought after. Johnson possesses solid NBA skills. Like Richardson, he spent most of the last 4 years with the Miami Heat, where they became good friends. Though he fell out of the rotation in his final season with the Heat, he was dealt to the Minnesota Timberwolves at the 2019 trade deadline, and in 13 games showed why Miami gave him a 3-year, $43 million contract in 2017. While his career numbers are characteristic of a role player, he has proven in the last few years to be a reliable shooter, achieving marks of above 34% on three-pointers in 3 of the last 4 seasons, including a career-high 37% in 13 games with the Timberwolves. Johnson, 6 feet 7 inches, 240 pounds, is another player who can provide positional flexibility on both ends of the court, being somebody who can play both forward positions and even center if needed. On defense, he has the size to guard virtually every position in some capacity, and uses his physicality and active hands to be a pest on defense. Bloodsport is also a very capable ball handler, and a quick look at his film reveals a fluid athlete who is capable of running half-court possessions. He does this with his ability to get to the basket with a smooth finishing touch, as well as by using his very sharp court vision to make the right passes to open cutters and shooters. He has also shown to be someone who can lead the fast break in transition. At 33 years old, he has been around for a while, but possesses the skill set and athleticism to be a steady hand for a Mavs bench unit that really struggled in the playoffs. His toughness and status as an OG vet in the league should be beneficial to the young Mavericks players who are now acquainted with the intensity of playoff basketball, and furthermore, even the rookies that were just drafted. Wesley Iwundu comes to the Dallas Mavericks having played the last 3 seasons with the Orlando Magic. As a former 33rd overall pick, he is still a relatively unknown commodity. His athleticism figures to be his biggest strength, also showing growth in his shooting. While Iwundu struggled with his shot as a rookie, he has significantly improved his percentage to 36.7% and 34.1% respectively in the last 2 seasons. Iwundu has shown some ability to create his own shot, but his role with Orlando was still relatively limited. At 25, a native of Houston, Iwundu is ecstatic to be playing in his home state. The Mavs seem high on him. "Don't sleep on Wes," a Mavs source said, per Brad Townsend. However, the reality is that Wes joins a deep group of wings headlined by Richardson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Tim Hardaway Jr., and James Johnson. Josh Green will also gun for minutes in the rotation, meaning that Iwundu will need to be on top of his game to make the final roster. By bringing back Trey Burke and Willie Cauley-Stein, the Mavs retained 2 rotation players from the previous season. Burke pleasantly surprised Mavs fans with his dynamic play in the NBA bubble, shooting lights out from 3 and showing fearlessness on offense that earned him the nickname of Mini Iverson. In his second stint, Burke seemed to carve out a nice role for himself, and figures to build on that momentum this season. Cauley-Stein, who the Mavs acquired from the Warriors last season, will continue to serve as a pick-and-roll threat for the historically great Mavericks offense. And with Dwight Powell easing his way back from an Achilles tear, it's unclear when or even if he will return to his previous level of athleticism, so the Mavericks will still depend on Cauley-Stein. And with Kristaps Porzingis set to miss the first few weeks due to his own rehab, don't be surprised if Willie starts a number of games in the early going. Cauley-Stein missed quite a few games with the Mavs last season, including the entire bubble run due to personal reasons, This season will be an audition run for his long-term fit with the team, given the second year of his contract being a team option. With the NBA season set to start in just under a month, it's safe to say the Mavericks took a step forward this week. While we would have liked to see them make a trade or free up cap space to acquire that third star, the Mavericks made moves to surround their franchise cornerstones with complementary players. It may seem frustrating to see Dallas chase waterfalls with their cap space, but the fact of the matter is, between J-Rich, THJ, and even James Johnson, the Mavs have several guys who would be more than fine to bring back for another run if they strike out with big names next year. An underrated aspect of all the moves the Mavs have made this offseason is that it gives them many tradable contracts should the right deal appear. If the Mavs' moves this offseason materialize as intended, then their improved defense and late-game execution should propel them to win a higher percentage of games than they did last year. We can also hope that they have better luck with their health. If that happens, home court advantage in the playoffs is a realistic goal for them to have. And if that happens, maybe, just maybe, Giannis will decide to join Luka, KP, and Josh Richardson in Dallas next offseason. As Mavs fans, we can only hope, but as Mavs Film Room, we'll always be here to break down that footage. Thank you very much for watching our temperature check for the Dallas Mavericks offseason. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and we will be back with more content very, very soon.